Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in to another StarCraft 2 broadcast. My name is Anaris, and today we're here watching the first game in a best-of-3 match series between NASAMoose, spawning as the Protoss up in the top right position, against LoveCrashes, the Terran down in the bottom left. This is, of course, from the GeForce StarCraft 2 Pro-Am, the tournament currently going on. This is qualifying round number 4, I believe. And yeah, so anyways, as far as the players go, unfortunately I don't have a lot of background information, so I decided to kind of wing it and come up with my own. NASAMoose, which by the way is an amazing name, he is going to be my pick for this match series solely because I love NASA and Moose are awesome. Anyways, NASAMoose, it was a test pilot for NASA back in the 1940s when they were attempting to use rainbows as a launching mechanism to get into space. Unfortunately, NASA could never find the launch pad for this device that exists in nature and had to scrap the project. NASAMoose then went on to play chess and eventually StarCraft 2, landing here in this tournament. Now, down here we have LoveCrashes. Couldn't find out a lot about him either, although I did read a newspaper that he once pulled an injured panda bear out of an 18 go-kart pileup. So, pretty awesome stuff for LoveCrashes. He is the panda bear hero, as he is going to be looking to build his stuff up here at the top of the ramp. Nothing out of the ordinary so far. Looks like he's opening up with a very standard open. Got the racks, got the gas. Okay, so not going to see a fast expand or any sort of super early pressure from him. Maybe we'll spot a Reaper at some point. Fairly common on this map against Protoss here. But we see NASAMoose opening up with the gas around 14 supply, I believe, sitting around 16 now. And not APM income right now, you can just spot that. You can see there's actually already a 2 harvester discrepancy. Thank goodness for Chrono Boost. Oh, play Protoss myself. I love that ability oh so much. Cybernetic score going down. Everything's looking pretty sweet there. So as far as what we can expect this game, you know, like I said before, I don't know really what these guys, their playstyle is. I would not be surprised if we saw them just kind of focus on a standard ground army. But we could actually see some sort of air harassment from the Terran player. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Banshees are actually very effective on this map. It'd be a great opener. He'd want to keep that scout in here as long as possible, though. You see he's actually kind of doing a long loop. He'd want to spot what the next structure or two for NASAMoose is going to be, which of course we can spot. Okay, there's the gateway technology. Would not be surprised if we actually saw a Stalker coming out here in just a second or two, as that's pretty standard against Terran. You want to get that Stalker primarily because it's good against catching Reapers, it's good at early map control, you can take out those Marines, and of course they're just all around awesome units. LoveCrash is not actually giving it looks like he's just going to give this up without a fight. He is a little bit down in the hit points, but still. Oh, neither player actually working on the map control. That's okay. At this point, we see the SCV is stuck down there. Unfortunately, cannot get up to the top. There goes the depot. Second barracks going down. Third barracks, rather. So we are going to see a rather heavy bio play here. Now the question is he going to drop a command center and try to expand and just hold his own down here with the Marines that he's going to have? We do see a tech lab going down. Yep, definitely going to get that stim pack upgrade and combat shield as soon as possible here. As looking up here in the Protoss base, we're actually sitting on kind of an interesting 4-game build here. It's going to be done closer to 6 minutes, I think. We can actually look and see. I think it's been chrono boosted once or twice, but he is continuing to warp in units. There's the proxy pylon right there. NASAMoose ready to go on the offensive here with 4-gate that's going to be finished any time now. Yep, he is going to continue to bring out units, though. Good call on the Sentry, early defensive unit. Be able to wall off and against any sort of pressure that may or may not come. Unfortunately, he does not actually have a probe down there, so he doesn't really know what's going on. There is a probe actually heading down as we speak. There are those warp gates coming into play right now, so we can expect to see some units warped in here pretty quickly. Yes, indeed, he is going to be bringing in 4 Stalkers. Now, I want to point out that this isn't as aggressive as you can get a 4-gate, because you see he hasn't really cut a lot of probes, so we can actually just look at that and see, okay, 24 right now. So pretty decent amount, but he has been working off of 2 gas for a good chunk of this time, so not wholly committing to that. I do like that. It's actually pretty hard to force that up in a PvT, because on a map where the ramp is so small like this, it's very easy for the Terran player to hold the ramp at the top, especially since he has a few Marauders now. We can see Stim Pack is on the way, and of course that the combat shields upgrade already complete. There we go. Now Protoss looking to move up the top of the ramp. Oh, the combat shield not complete. My bad. My bad. Bunker going down. Looks like the Terran's going to do a good job here. Might lose the supply depot. That's gonna be it though. Yep, Protoss actually trying to focus fire down a Marauder. Not going to work out that well for him, because with all those Marines there, plus 3 additional Marauders, plus the fact that he's fighting on home territory, means the Protoss just is not really going to be able to press it. But the good thing that came from this is that Moose has been able to deny the Terran player the ability to take this expansion. We see that he does not even have a command center in the works up here. He is sitting at around almost 300 minerals, so that'll be good. But yeah, overall, I think the Protoss is in a pretty good spot. We can see that he is actually 5 supply up ahead on food now. Oh, never mind, that's just changing by the second here. But with NASAMoose holding this expansion, we can expect to see him drop down a few additional production facilities. And yeah, the important thing is how much he's actually going to commit to that. He needs to get down and kind of keep an eye on the Terran player here to spot, okay, is the Terran going to make a kind of a one base push? You know, because if he is, and the Protoss player is actually going to have a small window where he's pretty vulnerable, dedicating a lot of those resources to the additional infrastructure and so forth. But now we can just look at the unit composition and see 6 Marauders, 9 Stalkers, 12 Marines. So in terms of just pure firepower, I would say the Terran player would actually be able to do a lot of damage to the Protoss, but the force fields should be able, if properly used, to keep the Terran player at bay and allow the Protoss to come out on top. So we might actually spot the moment of truth here as the Terran player continues to move out. We can look at the income tab now and see both of them are still very close. Terran has a 3-worker advantage right now. And you can see that's just going to the minerals right there. And is dropping down his expansion, about 50% complete. Back to the production tab, we do have hallucination on the way. This could be very, very smart, considering the fact that NASAMoose has 4 sentries that are just building up this energy non-stop. And depending on where he actually engages his opponent, like say if he fights right here, he's only going to need to drop a couple force fields. So the ability to call in an additional few units, like a few zealots, or really anything that he wants to, would be such an enormous help in the next engagement. Also bringing in a 5th sentry here, so yeah, definitely wants to take advantage of that. Also Blink, another great upgrade. So he's pretty much just kind of getting his upgrades based on the units that he already has. Which, you know, now that he's come down here with the probe, he's kind of seen, okay, well, pretty heavy on the Marauders. The Protoss player might decide to get, you know, an Immortal or 2, maybe tech up a little bit higher. I don't know, though. He really doesn't have the infrastructure for it just yet, as he is riding still on 4 gateways. His expansion is complete now. He has been mining for it for a little while, so we can actually spot that Protoss economy looking pretty good right now, especially since he has 2 Chrono Boosts. Oh, that'll help so much. Army size now, you can see the money invested into that, and there's the size comparison. As far as workers go, 40 to 33 now. Terran's still just kind of building up in his main base. He does have a Raven. Now that is a great idea to get that. We can actually just spot and see. He does kind of know that his opponent went a little bit heavy on the side of the Stalkers there from an earlier scouting. So that Raven with the point defense drone, I think, will lend itself very well to any sort of attack that the Terran player may do. Notice Weapons 1 is on the way. It's about 50% complete. Protoss is going to be kind of behind on the upgrades there. That's definitely not something you want to have happen as we do go past the 12-minute mark here. But that Raven is now complete, and we spot that he's going to switch these structures. Going to be trying to get some medevacs here. Possibly a siege tank or 2. Does not have siege tech yet, obviously. But he'll be able to get that as an option as well, since his own expansion's looking pretty good. Looking at the army size now, 86 to 86, dead even in terms of supply. We see a lot of gases have been invested into that Protoss army right there. Still extremely Stalker heavy. He's going to have to get some more Zealots here, I think. Although he is bringing in a Dark Shrine, so that could actually work out very well for him. Be able to warp in some DTs right down here, get into the mineral line. We spot there is a turret at the natural expansion, though. There is one way back here. So the DT harassment would be kind of limited in functionality as long as these turrets are alive, so that would definitely be a priority for him. But here comes another hallucinated Phoenix. Protoss doing a pretty good job of scouting, actually. Terran not quite keeping up on that. He knows that expansion's there, and that's about it. He doesn't know anything about the DTs, you know, the Twilight Council, anything of that sort. So, things I would like to see, I would actually like to spot the Protoss getting some upgrades here pretty soon to kind of counter what we're seeing from the Terran player, who's still looking pretty beefy on the Marine Marauder combination. There's a couple medevacs coming in, so this army is becoming incredibly strong against what the Protoss actually has. The Protoss is going to have to get some different units here other than Stalkers if he really wants to be able to hold this off, because like I've said before, those Marauders and Marines will just rip up Stalkers so much. And now NASAMoose getting another idea of what the army seems like. Okay, so very Marine heavy, very Marauder heavy. And this particular scouting, he didn't see any medevacs. Of course, I believe they're way back here, but he did see the Raven. So I don't think that was actually an intentional move there. But there's the cancellation of the expansion. The Protoss is like, okay, if an attack's coming, I definitely don't want to be devoting all this money to that. He needs to spend it down any way he can, which we can actually spot and see his gateways are, looks like they are on cooldown. And oh man, we can use some credit boosts on that. As you see, this one definitely has 100% energy. But here we go now. NASAMoose backing up into a corner. This is actually not going to work out for him well here. There we go, much better position. Unfortunately, all of the sentries are going to die before they can land down any hallucinations. So the Terran is in a fantastic spot here. LoveCrashes taking out the expansion with the half of the forces that could not attack the Stalkers. The rest of them up here dealing with it. I mean, there's so many Marauders here, there's so many Marines, and the DTs are just coming in too late that really the Terran, it was just, that was it, man. He just had a better unit composition, and NASAMoose coming out, you know, he did a great job of that early push, keeping the Terran player contained. Unfortunately, kind of sticking to those Stalkers, not really expanding out, and, you know, he did a good job scouting his opponent's army, but all in all, very good play from both players. And congratulations to LoveCrashes as he crashes game number 1. Let's go on to game number 2 and see what happens next.